Whatever you do, don't poop. I'm telling you, don't. Because because they're monitoring your poop. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. For those that don't know, I put out a video just a little bit ago that explains my satire, if you will. Um, it has gotten to a level of insanity. And, now we're seeing things, and this isn't the first, but this is a real good example, and one that I was able to catch and put back out there in a relatively short amount of time, which I think is important. I think it's important that we get that type of information out there, because people can look at that and they can say, okay, well, why are they doing this? Even people that might be a little on the fence, or even people that fully buy every story that they're told. That's what is important, because this is an information war. Make no mistake, this is an information war. And so by putting that type of information out there that's solid, that's grounded, that people can see, especially when you can have two things to be able to compare to one another, that's especially important in this society. So, again, we have to be smart with the information war. This whole thing, we've got to use our heads, right? There's lots of battles, that are fought in a military combat type of manner. But the battle that we're in right now is an information battle, an intellectual battle, a censorship battle. But it's all things that involve us communicating with one another, right? Because at this point, thankfully, it's not any type of a hot battle, if you will. So, nonetheless, it's just as dangerous, if not more. And I need to point that out. So, some interesting information is making its rounds. And I'm going to do a little digging. When I say digging, I'm going to poke a source or two and see if they've got anything to say or add. I have not had a chance to do that as of yet. The timing is not right. I'll just say the timing's not right. I within 24 hours, though, I will be doing that. And the information is, just as I suspected, what was it? A week or two ago, I shared out an article about A-10s that were landing on U.S. highways. A-10 bombers, U.S. highways. And at that time, I really raised an eyebrow, because you typically want to train in the environment in which you're going to have to carry out the operations. Okay? And yeah, they could play it off as, we're just doing this because of cities, towns and cities and other locations, other countries, But I don't think that's the case, because you know what? We've been, we've been doing training for a long time in this country. And this stuff with landing A-10s on highways, it's a pretty new one. I mean, don't get me wrong, the aircraft are literally designed for that. Okay? They're designed to be able to do that. And there is debate on, some people say that Eisenhower actually put it in for certain stretches of the interstate to be straight for aircraft to land. You could debate that to death, whether or not he did that. But the fact of the matter is, that is indeed the case. And it does appear that, at least some of it was done intentionally for those purposes. So there's a good debate that could be had there both ways. But the fact that they're actually doing this now, that is key. Well, there's a bunch more information about what might be going on as far as with military and readiness and what they might be gearing up for. And that's us. As you know, the DOJ, everybody in the current administration, and others, you name off some 3-letter agencies and you're bound to get several of them. They have been really pushing this rhetoric of unrest in this country, and I know largely for a long time they'd been pushing it about white supremacy, actually. I don't think that really was doing much for them. I really don't, because I'll tell you what, you have the small group of people that just lockstep everything they say, okay, but it's a very small group of people. The majority of the country is looking at this administration going, what the hell? And that's a fact. Even people on the left, a lot of people on the left, are doing that very thing. And this doesn't seem what they're discussing now as far as this training and readiness. Not things like white supremacy. It's uprising. It's uprising. Now, they're not, as far as I know, there hadn't been any indicators to where they directly kind of said that it was related to possible mandates and unrest because of that. But I'm pretty certain that's what its intention is. Amen, Whit. Amen. Absolutely, he is in control. And that's why I don't fear. That's why I don't fear. Because, I'll repeat the same thing that Prepper Now has. I wished he wouldn't have stopped doing it, but he was going to start ending his show or his videos with God wins. And that's the most accurate thing I can say to that. God wins. Amen. And we see the military getting rolled out in countries like Australia, and we're seeing. Okay, I said that wrong. I'm hearing about some other countries that may possibly be doing the same thing as far as like a military type of rollout. I'm not gonna call out. There was 2 nations that I was told about. Let me see how it plays out. I don't want to possibly make any false alarms or the information. I can't tell you whether or not it's legit. Okay, I think so. But I have to have information from a source for a period of time before I will see a trend and before I will run with something. And this is a new source. So, so I don't know on that, but I would say it's highly likely, especially in places like London, for instance, with what's going on. And, I think you're going to see some military intervention there really quick. France is another country, okay? Now, I'm not telling you that these are the countries that I've heard about. I'm just talking about these countries, okay? And France, I could see it happening there as well. There are so many nations, though, that there is such a large resistance against mandatory jabs and, the passport things, the health passport things. Lots of resistance. And that's a great thing. because we are fighting this globally. This agenda. This isn't any one country. This isn't a repeat of Nazi Germany. Because that was isolated in that one area. This is a global thing, a global event. And again, I'll remind you again, Revelation 18, verse 23, and it states it right there. And I mean, you really could not be any more clear. There, several verses, but to me, that you just can't hit the nail on the head any more than that. I think we are going to see a rollout of quite a bit. And, come to think of it, and I didn't even think about it until just now. Let me see. Let me take a quick peek-see and see if I can drag it from my phone real quick like. If it'll pop up, because it was a video. It's gonna make me cry. Bummer. Okay. Hang on. I am looking to see if I might by chance have handy a USB-C. Because my other one's in the bedroom. Bummer. I thought I did. Wait. Here's one. Sorry for all the noise. This is important. I wouldn't be doing this, and I didn't even think about it until just this second. And I don't know what this was, so maybe one of y'all can help me know. But I can tell you this. I don't see them around these parts. Not these. Okay, let me drag the video to my computer. I don't know, I should be the SD, I think. Hey man, isn't there a DCIM folder? There used to be a DCIM folder. Interesting. I hope all this funness doesn't crash the show, because, hang on. Try this again. Let's see, where the heck would it be? I don't even see anything in here. SD card, there should be a DCIM on the SD card. Nice. Well, I will continue to talk to my best ability while I kick the hell out of my phone. So anyway, like I say, very, very interesting events going on around the country involving military. I know that there's channels talking about the UN and all that. I'm not saying that the UN is not in any way whatsoever been involved at this point, because I'm absolutely positive that they probably have been, but I don't believe for a second that that they're actually ready to pounce in the manner as in here, ready to pounce and setting up and blah blah blah. And this is why. That's a tall order. Bringing the UN in, yeah, I know, to the United States, it's a tall order. And you have to sell that to the American people. Well, I don't think that's going to be such an easy task. I really don't. I think that it's going to require the U.S. citizens to see a lack of control on behalf of the U.S., the country of the U.S. A lack of control in the major cities. I don't know that it'll matter so much in the smaller locations, but that's essentially what it's going to boil down to. Is them giving precedence or showing cause as to why the UN has to come in. We're not going to see that right from the get-go. I'm not saying it'll take long, but we're not going to see it right from the get-go. But I would highly recommend, with the information that is coming in, and again, I will, within the next 24 hours, try to get a little bit more information that's solid. And I would be keeping an eye on, well, essentially, I'd be keeping an eye on, like, if you see extra activity at military bases and stuff like that, the obvious things, okay? This is not wanting to play nice with me, and I don't know why. Find it interesting. So here's what it was. Let me tell you what it was. It was a helicopter, but I am not quite sure what helicopter that it was, because I'm not used to seeing them, and it might be of the Sikorsky variant. I'm trying to bring it up. If it wasn't that important, I wouldn't be concerned with it. But I'm telling you, I personally feel like it's that important. Let me see the details and find out where the hell this is. Storage. 3665. What the heck? Where the hell is that even at? Wow. Okay. Well, let me do this. There. To me. Let me share it to me real quick, and then I'll bring it up, and you guys can see it. Because, I mean, it's just a real super short couple of seconds. And I forgot about it. Yeah. Sorry, I suck at doing multitasking type of goodness. Yay. I do. I suck at multitasking. I mean, I can multitask, but not if it includes talking or typing. If I'm talking or typing, I'm glad to be able to breathe. Oops. See what I mean? I just pushed my window all the way down. There's that window. Nah. I suck. I absolutely suck. Was it this one? I guess maybe. Okay. I should have a video, which I do. And how would I bring that up? Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm finally there. Sorry. Oh, and it looks like crap. Well. Oh, there was two of them. I'll tell you what, it was loud as hell. I know you guys can't see it yet. Here. It was loud as hell, and I guess Facebook compressed the hell out of the video because that looks like crap. It did not look that bad on my phone. But they've got, I don't know how many rotors on them, a ton of rotors. And it was a big plane, kind of something like you would see them use for like sea rescue type of, that type of a shape for the body. and there was a ton, 8, maybe 12 rotors. And I want to say that Sikorsky makes helicopters like that. Nah. I will do what I can to get it, and I will upload it or something so you can see it much clearer, and I'll zoom in and stuff like that, because I actually got a pretty good resolution on my phone, but I guess Facebook crunched the hell out of it when I sent it in a message to myself. So anyway, this is the storm that I think we're looking at, and I think it's brewing. I really stand behind what I've said about a vaccine mandate by the first week of next month, if not sooner. A lot's going to hinge on that FDA approval. Once they get that FDA approval, well, they think that's their cue to do anything. And you can tell. They're already saying so. They're not hiding it. Oh. Well. It is? How'd that happen? Oh, because I closed that window. Oh, well. So you got to see my Facebook page. It's not super secret. But, you know, the big thing, I guess, let me come back. Sorry. The big thing is how we get ready for it. How we are prepared for it. Can we stop this? Maybe. I'm not going to say we can't. I don't know. The good book says we can't. Essentially. I mean, it says it's going to run its course. And especially at this point, I got to give credibility to what that book says. However, it doesn't mean that we can't try. And I think that if we just keep communicating, maybe we can stave this off. But I think that's going to get extremely hard in the very, very, very near future. I think once that they get that full authorization, I think they're also going to use that as a right to completely shut down any conversation that colors outside of their lines. And I mean completely. You know, I know there's people that have, you know, their websites and they're doing stuff like Luke, for instance, and Tim Pool. They're all doing stuff that's, you know, like subscription based to their websites, and that's great. That's incredible. But there's something called ICANN. And at the moment that ICANN chooses, it can make any website go poof. That's literally what they do. They're the traffic cops of the internet. Okay, in other words, what their systems do is it propagates IP addresses and domain names. So like the watchmannews.com has to go through ICANN to where it gets basically converted to an IP address and port number and yada yada. You just see the watchmannews.com, but there's actually a lot that goes on behind the scenes involving networking to make that connection. Well, they are the ones that control that connection. So that all they got to do is break it. All they got to do is take that domain, the watchmannews.com, and break that connection with that proper IP and port and what have you. That's all they got to do. And at that point, the only way that you're going to get to that site, especially if it's on a shared server, you would have to edit your host file on your computer to be able to do it. Because sure, you could type in the IP of the server, you can type in the IP and the port, but there's more to it than that. Okay? And that's where my knowledge of networking on that end of things kind of comes to a halt, because I don't understand how the system does it, but if the host files is right, then it knows how or where to go on that server computer to get that particular website. Like if there's 1,000 websites on a computer or on a server, that's what that will do. Okay, that will help guide you to the right file on that server. And I'm pretty sure you can do it with a host file on your computer, but you know what I'm saying? how you gonna distribute that when you were already shut off? So, and I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it can be done. And when I say pretty sure, I'm pretty sure I've kind of actually done some stuff like that. Maybe. By the way, there's some really cool ways for those that are a little technically inclined to set up networks and systems outside of the internet, an intranet, if you will. And I'm just going to say it's probably a good idea maybe to have some websites set up with plenty of tools to be able to communicate, message one another, stuff like that, that you could get dialed in on an intranet using some host file tricks and something like that. Just saying, if you're so inclined. I do have limitations with my knowledge on these things, but I have screwed up enough that I've figured out a few things. And it's pretty incredible what you can do within your own little local network. And you can make that network however big you want, as long as you've got the equipment to do it. Okay, wireless access points and what have you. So just put that in the back of your head, because that could be very, very useful for you. Okay? Now enough of that. And along that line, I guess, like I was saying earlier, this isn't the same type of a battle as what we're used to seeing or hearing about. This is definitely an intellectual one. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Let me take a peek over. Sorry. Everything going all right over there? Biden hadn't showed up or nothing? Okay. Making sure. I'm kind of at a loss of words. I mean, what more can any of us really say at this point? I believe that for the most part, the people that have made their decisions on what they intend to do are pretty well set in those decisions. And if you are of that mind, then get ready. Because I really do think that they are going to tie a lot of things together really, really quick. Internment and re-education camps for the unvaccinated, perhaps. Like I was pointing out yesterday, there's all kinds of puzzle pieces that are snapping together real tight right now. And with this added information about military training to operate here on domestic soil, and with what we already know they've been doing in training on domestic soil, it's concerning. And then you add to that all of the purging of the military that's been going on, not just in the recent, but all the way back when Obama was in office. Remember all the generals and stuff that he purged so that he could push his agendas? A lot of them. And I mean a whole lot of them. Now, they're purging the personnel. And wouldn't you know it, they just so happen to be purging the personnel that just might not want to go along with their agenda. Imagine that. Like I said yesterday, the writing is on the wall. Whether or not we just choose to read it is up to us as individuals. I choose to read it. I not only choose to read it, but I choose to repeat it and bring as much awareness to it as possible. That's the most I can do, at least at this point right here in the now. So I'm going to do my best. I don't think we've got a long time to be able to communicate, and I hope I'm wrong. For a multitude of reasons, I hope I'm wrong. You know, for one, I've kind of got plans, you know? So I hope I'm wrong. But I have a feeling that if they're going to want to get on top of this, especially in the United States, if they're going to want to get the upper hand, they're really going to have to shut some people up. That's just a fact. I don't know if y'all have been going and looking on social media, like, and I know Facebook, but like on Facebook to your like local news stations and all, you know, look at all the articles that they're putting out about it and look at the comments. Now, I don't know what it would be like in the comment section of New York City or Los Angeles or something like that. But around here, a whole lot of people ain't having it, you know? And St. Louis is a pretty Democrat city. I don't know. I don't know what to say on that, because there's a lot of mixed bag in this area, right? Because we're an extremely conservative county in Illinois. And, you know, at the same time, we got, you know, a serious liberal county that's right up against us. And then you got St. Louis just across the river. So it's a mixed bag here, to be real honest. But the comments are what you want to look at. You want to look at, I call it the temperature. You want to look at the temperature. You want to see the mood of people, the direction of people. Because that in itself is like an area study. And it will tell you essentially whether or not you may or may not have support in your local area when it comes to resisting this. And I mean a mandatory vaccination, what have you. Whatever you feel. I mean, I feel very strongly about this because it definitely violates my human rights, without a doubt. And it violates my First Amendment rights, which I try to keep out of it because they shredded that stuff up a long time ago. But they can't shred up natural rights. They don't have the power to do that. It's just like your I'm going to mess up the word, unalienable rights. I can barely say it on a good day. They can't take those either. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure if they put you 6 foot under, they pretty much took everything. But did they? Did they? Do you think that Lavoy Finicum would tell you today that he died a free man? I do. I think he would tell you that he died a free man with a smile on his face. Absolutely. So, maybe death isn't the worst thing. I certainly don't think so. I think taking this jab is much worse than death. I think it has far-reaching things, and the good book says it right in there. How can you be any more clear? Now that we know it, those people that know it, guess what? If you don't heed the warning, he'll make you responsible for it. Anyway, I don't know how quick, as far as possible troop movement or anything like that, might start. I have no idea. But keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to see what I can find out, if anything. I can't promise you that I'm going to find out anything, but I'm going to try. I've got some curtains I can shake. And we'll see if there's anything as far as readiness. And I mean actual confirmed readiness. So we'll see. But the UN, anybody that's telling you that the UN, and talking about the UN at this point, well, they're after those views, they're after that check. There's a lot I could tell you about the UN and UN troops, and all you got to do is go look up a guy named John Moore. All right, I believe that's his name, John Moore. Got a channel on YouTube, and you can go look up one of his way older videos. If anybody's really interested in seeing it, let me know. I'll get you the link. And he talks about the United Nations and Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and how he personally knows. You know, he's former military. He personally knows that they would fly UN troops in there and for training. And I have had information over the years about them training in national forests. So that isn't nothing new. So for somebody to say that, oh, the UN's here, yeah, they are. They've been here for a long time. They train here. So do I think it's pre-positioning troops? Maybe a bit, but not the force. The force would come later. But I'm sure that there's pre-positioned troops as far as to gain intelligence and blah, blah, blah. Special forces, stuff like that. But as far as the mass group, not yet. Not yet. They got to build the call for that. They got to scare the people into believing that that's what they need to do. And we're not there yet. Okay? We're just not there yet. Right now, they've got to tackle this and try to get us all to take the jab. And they ain't there yet either. So, got a little ways. So, the YouTube check whores, ignore them for now. I would repeat what I said. If you happen to live around a military base or have friends or family that do or what have you, just kind of keep an eye on things. See if you see any increased activity or any areas that might be in support of that. And if you don't mind, let me know. If you do see something, you can go, I believe I've got a contact thing on the website. And yeah, just go contact the Watchman, and it'll bring up a contact page, and then just shoot me a message, shoot me an email, and I will look into it, and highly appreciate it. So, because I don't get around anywhere. And our nearest military base is Scott Air Force Base, which I have no doubt that well, I guess 2 choppers. I have no doubt that they were probably coming from there. So, but it's just strange. We don't normally see those, right? Once in a while, you might see a Chinook. Mostly, if you see a military chopper in this neck of the woods, it's going to be a Black Hawk. Once in a great, blue moon, you might see an Apache, but it's pretty rare. Not that long ago, there were Apaches. But this was not Black Hawk. This was not Apache. This was not, I think it was a Sikorsky. Tons of rotors on it. Which I find very interesting. And I know that we use Sikorsky aircraft, but I'm not used to seeing them. Interesting stuff. So, trying to think if there's really any more to add. There's a lot of headlines today. We should probably get into those. Tons of news. It was another day that I just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming all day long. And I expect that you're going to see the same continue. I think tomorrow, I get the feeling tomorrow's going to be the same way. Probably the rest of this week. So that's just the feeling that I'm getting. I think it's going to build. I don't know. Honestly, and I'm just trying to be honest with you. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm not trying to be an alarmist. Those that have been around this channel for very long know that's not me. But we have reached a point to where if I don't blow my trumpet, I am going to be the one responsible for it. And I'm not going to let that happen. I don't know if we're going to get another calm before the storm. So be on your toes. Be on your toes. I hope we do. I hope that it can be staved off a little bit so that we can get ready a little more. But you know what? We're always going to say that. We're always going to say that. Keep on your toes. Make sure that you're ready to do whatever it is you may need to do. Bug out, whatever the case may be. I don't know what your situation is. And we'll go from there. Now, by the way, I don't think that we're in a situation where people are going to need to bug out of their house first thing. I don't think so. You hear about troops rolling down your streets? Yeah, it's probably about a day too late to bug out, but bug out anyway. Just use your head, but don't wait too long. I think a lot of people's going to make that mistake. They're going to wait too long. Go ahead and bring up the browser. Like I said, there's tons of headlines today. I'm sure I'll have commentary for a few. Gotta have a vape because news. Texas Supreme Court thwarts Democrat effort to overturn governor's veto that blocked legislative funding. Which, by the way, the infrastructure bill went through, and I'm sure y'all know that. But, yeah. CNN updates fake story of single mom of 3 facing eviction after real mother comes forward and over $200,000 in donations. Yeah. This stuff, not all that type of stuff, not every time that somebody gets or asks for help is it a bad thing. In fact, I would say more than likely most of the time it's not. But it's these instances that really destroy it for anybody that does truly need help. It's really sad. China's oil imports rebound in July. Sydney police ramp up lockdown enforcement after Australia's New South Wales sees record daily increase of COVID infections. World's largest cinema chain may start accepting Bitcoin as payment in 2021. Ottawa condemns Beijing after court upholds death penalty for Canadian drug trafficker. China recalls ambassador to Lithuania after establishment of Taiwan representative office in Vilnius. U.S. has no mandate to keep troops in Syria, and America's interpretation of international law is ridiculous, says Russian ambassador. So even on an international scale, and we haven't even discussed that, things are still heating up on an international scale. Now, whether or not that's a dog and pony show, I don't know. Like I said, keep on your toes. They're going to use as much confusion as they can throughout all of this. So watch out for the distractions. Watch out for the confusion. There's a lot of stuff coming up again about Mike Lindell and the election and all that. Don't be distracted. Okay? What we need to be focused on right now is mandates. More than anything, mandates. We cannot take our eye off that ball. Not even for a second. And they're trying to get you to do it. That's why all of the distractions. Don't let them do it. Bangladesh rolls out COVID vaccination campaign to almost 1 million Rohingya refugees in cramped camps. Thousands of Russian, Uzbek, and Tajik troops rehearse turning back enemy offensive on Afghan border amid fears of Taliban incursions. Russian liberals hope for anti-Putin street revolution. They now may be realizing that they wasted years on a doomed strategy. Police identify man who mailed 3 bullets and threatening letter to Pope Francis, says the media. Tourists told to leave island of Martinique as French territory faces increased restrictions amid wave of COVID-19 cases. Bellicose Lukashenko claims that Russia and Belarus could team up and bring Western-oriented Ukraine to its knees in just 24 hours. Australian environmental activists vandalized Parliament and set fire to pram in climate protest. EU member states urge Brussels to send refugees back to the war-torn Afghanistan. Is there a link between stupidity and anti-vax? GB News boss and others goad anti-vaxxers after storming of former BBC headquarters. A call center company used by Apple, Amazon, and Uber wants to force workers to install AI-powered cameras in their bedrooms, says reports. Yeah, can you believe that? Get pissed off. I'm not one that really gets pissed off. Today I was to the point that I don't like to be. Ordered some things, and once again they couldn't seem to deliver it to the right house. And this is an ongoing issue. For whatever reason, we can't get it. We just can't get it hammered down to be able to look above the door and look at the damn number. I don't know. I don't get it. It's right there above the door. It's right above the door. Man, I've worked service jobs and stuff like that, and I would have dreamed for people to have the damn number somewhere by the door. You're looking out at rocks in the lawn and all over for a number. Ours is right above the door. Anyway, my first world problems, this is crazy. Crazy. They want their workers to put cameras in their bedrooms. It hadn't been that long that we, as far as a span of time, that we have slid that far. I mean, we have slid that far. That's crazy. Crazy. Marvel superhero comic creators received just $5,000 for $1 billion+ movie adaptation, says the media. And I know I screwed up the headline, but yeah, they're getting screwed over, essentially. Up to 30 Russians a year falling prey to bloodthirsty Satanist covens. Expert warns as devil worshippers confess to ritual murders. So, I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm more afraid of the Russian devil worshippers killing me and cannibalizing my body than I am COVID at this point. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's not a serious disease. I'm not a disease, whatever illness. It absolutely is. Okay? But just like I'm going to take precautions not to be abducted by any crazy Satanist Russian cannibalists, I'm going to take protections to protect myself from COVID. Why? Because that's my responsibility and nobody else's, and nobody else could do it for me. That's why. Unless they're paid and 24/7, but homie ain't got that kind of extra change. You see what I'm saying, though? I mean, it's crazy. I do think that this article is a bit crazy. 30 people. I kind of have a feeling that the U.S. might be able to top that for bloodthirsty Satanists. I don't know. I have no idea, but we've got some messed up people here. North Korea rejects call from Seoul after warning South Korea is engaging in perfidious behavior. And like I told Patreon this morning for the morning news, I don't ever want to be perfidious because I have no clue what that even means. But I don't want to be perfidious because it doesn't sound good. A judge overrules unanimous city council's vote against Quick Trip development. Oh, I thought you were going to look it up. Are you? Good. Let me know what it means. I could have looked it up. I'm Google certified, but German train drivers plan 3-day strike after negotiations on pay and corona bonus collapse. Perfidious. P-E-R. I think it was P-E-R. Yeah, P-E-R-F-I-D-I-O-U-S. Ah, deceitful and untrustworthy. I have no idea. Judge, I read that one. That one. Here we go. EU hopes suspension of Baghdad-Minsk flights will stem migrant flow to Lithuania as Vilnius debates giant border fence. I've heard that before. Armenian defense minister reveals country reserving right to use force as tensions again flare up on border with Azerbaijan. Gazprom's revenues surge on rising natural gas prices. Scottish health minister sues nursery school claiming they discriminated against his 2-year-old. Tennessee high school on lockdown over reports of active shooter, ambulances on site. And I shared out that headline, and to be real honest, I never even checked up on it because I knew that there wasn't going to be enough information out at the time, so let me do that. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. Otherwise, not even worth... Wait a minute. In a later update, school district officials said that the evacuated children were being transported by bus along with the police escort to the armory. Parents were told to collect their children. Oh, okay. So right here it does say, sorry, this is crazy. The director of schools for Hawkins County, Matt Hickson, said that law enforcement were still doing a sweep of the premises, but reiterated that there had been no injuries. But I'm not showing anything. It was confirmed 2 people had been taken to the hospital, but their injuries were not related to any reports of an active shooter. Very odd. Very odd. I'm glad I opened that. Sorry. I know I wasted a little time there, but that is a very, very odd story. Dominion files yet more billion-dollar lawsuits over election fraud claims, this time targeting Newsmax and OAN. Oregon governor signs bill removing reading, writing, and math requirements for high school kids to help students of color, and I put out a video this morning about that. Iranian goes on trial in Sweden accused of involvement in prison massacres during the 1988 purges. The U.S. invited to station troops and rocket systems in Ukraine in potential major escalation of tense standoff across the border with Russia. So we'll see what happens there. Passenger planes disrupted, delayed, and canceled in Siberia as smoke from vast wildfires lowers visibility to dangerous levels. 400,000 Afghans have been internally displaced by conflict, the EU says. Fire extinguished on commercial vessel at Syrian port after reported explosion. Some workers required treatment. Suspected anti-vax nurse replaced COVID-19 jabs with saline, affecting thousands in Germany, local authorities reveal. And this ain't cool. This ain't cool. Don't do that. I one time had a friend that asked me, his wife, bless her soul, she wanted to try vaping. She's no longer with us. She wanted to try vaping and asked me about it because, duh. And so I told her about it, and she was interested. She really wanted to get away from cigarettes. She, for years, wanted to quit cigarettes, but, you know, for a large majority of people, cold turkey's not so easy. So I'm not gonna lie to her about it. I told her, and he was a bit upset because he didn't want her. A very controlling person. He didn't want her to vape. And so when, you know, she was asking me if I'd make her up some liquid and stuff and hook her up so she could check it out, he's like, can you make some for her without any nicotine and just don't tell her? I'm like, no. I've spoke about this friend before. I've talked about a friend that can recite word for word every word in the good book, but doesn't have a clue of how to live it. That's the gentleman I speak of. uses the Bible for control. That's what it is for him, a tool for control. Cambodia's Chinese financial dam violated rights of thousands of indigenous people, says a report. Family of UK teen Harry Dunn, killed by suspected U.S. spy, fears cover-up. It's about truth and closure, a spokesman tells RT. Russian prosecutors asked to probe children's summer camp over LGBT propaganda after boys forced to dress up in girls' clothes. That ain't going to fly real well in Russia. Lost all credibility, LGBTQ group blasted on social media after official tied to New York Governor Cuomo's efforts to discredit accusers. I know you've heard that news too, so. One COVID vaccination or screening center vandalized in France per day on average since mid-July, says reports. So I would say that would be them building up their cause in order to get military on the streets. Wouldn't you say? New York Governor Andrew Cuomo resigns in wake of sexual harassment claims. Amnesty International calls on, and what can I say about that? I mean, I know a lot of people would spend a day talking about that. Do I need to? Nah. Amnesty International calls on Biden to drop politically motivated charges against Julian Assange ahead of hearing. Again, be careful of the distractions. I mean, there's a whole lot that needs done with this, but let's not be distracted with it. Vaccine and mask mandates for teachers. Dr. Fauci calls for stricter rules while Florida governor fights school leaders who defy ban. Twitter suspends Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene for claiming COVID-19 vaccines are failing. Now wait a minute. Is Twitter claiming that the vaccines are absolute? I mean, are they claiming that they're 100% effective in 100% of people? Because if that's not true even one time, it kind of means that there's been some failure. But hey, don't deplatform me, bro. Algerian officials launch probe to find arsonists behind 50 horror fires as firefighters battle blazes. White House seeking TikTok stars for intimate calls with Fauci to promote COVID-19 vaccines to kids as young as 12, says reports. Twitter reveals majority of Euro 2020 racist abuse trolling came from the UK as Premier League pledges to ban fans for prejudice. Biden says Cuomo did a hell of a job as governor and calls his resignation so sad. Yeah. It's all sad. Thai police deploy tear gas and rubber bullets against demonstrators protesting the government. Why are they protesting the government? Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Michael Bloomberg make Greenland trend in U.S. again as they seek to mine it for electric car materials. I'll let you chew on that for a little bit. 60 years after use of Agent Orange in Vietnam, U.S. still fails to recognize all its victims, even among its own troops, a veteran tells RT. Well, of course. There's so much, you know, you've got the burn pits and all that. There's just an incredible amount of neglect on behalf of the United States government when it comes to obligations and fairness and justice when it comes to the veterans. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. You want to support the troops? You truly want to support the troops in a way that matters? Raise hell about that stuff. Gamma variant detected in St. Louis wastewater. I spoke about that in a video prior to this. Badge of honor. Rand Paul fires back at YouTube after ban over mask comments. Taliban seizes 8th provincial capital amid massive offensive as Biden calls on Afghans to fight for themselves. Do you think Biden would give us the same advice for an overreaching government that would try to mandate us to do things that, go against our beliefs? You think he'd have the same advice? Nah. We're there. We are there. 100%. BC to find it. Oh, man. We go to bed early too, brother. Usually by 10 p.m. our time, we're out. And usually by about 4:30 a.m., I'm up. So, that's pretty much typically our schedule. And if we're not in bed or heading towards bed by 10 o'clock, if that bell rings 10 and we're not making moves to be back there, we have a dog that will remind us. Without a doubt. Last night, we got to bed a little later than the norm. Not real late, mind you. It just barely rung 10 o'clock. And I've got some boxes and stuff that we don't have a big place, so I have to relocate them from off the bed. And I just got dive bombed by something. Anyway, I have to relocate them back and forth. And throughout the day, I just put them up on the bed. Well, last night, Blue was going over to where I put them, the little corner where I put them, and kind of nosing around, kind of trying to tell me that I don't have the boxes over there yet. I don't have the stuff over there yet. And it's just hilarious the way that she communicates with us. So, absolutely hilarious. But yeah, it's one of those things. I just can't do the late nights anymore. I used to be a night person. I don't know what happened there. I really don't. I was a night person all the way up until things went to hell with my family, and I no longer had a wife and kids. Something clicked in my head after I went through that experience, and I can't sleep like I used to, and I get up pretty much 4:30 on close to on the dot, and I can tell you why. That's approximately the time that a sheriff will knock on your door to deliver an order of protection. Nice, huh? Pulled that game on me so many times, and now I just wake up. Frustrating. Anyway, I try not to be distracted. Get ready, get prepared. Don't live in fear. Don't let it cause you to do that. Absolutely don't let it cause you to take your joy away. But just be ready and keep on your toes. Keep your eyes and ears open. And I think that this is going to move quickly. I think it's going to move very, very quickly. So, anyway, I'm going to get out of here so we can kind of relax a little bit before we hit the bed. And I hope you all have a good night. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it again. I appreciate you coming. Hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.